Good evening, you're watching Independent News. I'm Sakhawat Khan. We begin as usual with the headlines. Jamaat Shibir activists carry out acts of vandalism in the capital and in Khulna. 6 policemen have been injured. The government finalizes the policy for admission to private schools without keeping a quota for members of parliament. A World Bank report suggests that Bangladesh will have to have 7.5% GDP growth and 8% remittance growth if it wants to become a middle-income country by 2021. Jamaat Shibir activists carried out acts of vandalism and clashed with the police in the Karun Bazaar area of the capital today. Jamaat activists brought out a procession around 4:30 this afternoon near the Farm Gate area. While moving towards the Karun Bazaar area, activists vandalized a few vehicles and torched a police motorbike. Clashes broke out as the police tried to control the situation. 6 policemen were injured in the incident. Police have so far detained 16 people over the incident. Jamaat-e-Islami has called for a dawn-to-dusk strike in Khulna district demanding the release of its leader Ghulam Parwar and of other leaders and supporters. Khulna Metropolitan Jamaat Chief Maulana Abul Kalam Azad announced the program and claimed that the police is arresting Jamaat supporters without charge. Earlier today, activists of Chhatru Shibir, the associate student wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, clashed with the police in Khulna. The clashes erupted when the police intercepted a Shibir rally and activists hurled brick chips at the police. The incident occurred around 1 this afternoon. The police intercepted Shibir activists who were demanding the immediate release of Mia Ghulam Parwar, the detained Assistant Secretary General of Jamaat-e-Islami. Police fired rubber bullets and tear gas to contain the situation. 3 suspected Shibir activists were detained from the spot. The Speedy trial tribunal has granted 5-day remand of former Member of Parliament and Jamaat Assistant Secretary General Ghulam Parwar. Ghulam Parwar was brought to the Chief Metropolitan Magistrates Court this afternoon from the Detective Branch Office of Minto Road. Police applied for 7-day remand in a case filed at the Motijheel Police Station under the Explosives Act. Judge Muhammad Harun Rashid granted 5-day remand. The Jamaat leader was arrested from the Gulshan area of the capital on the 5th of November on charges of vandalism, arson and attacking the police. The police have detained 56 suspected Jamaat Shibir activists from Jaipurhat in an overnight raid. Police Super Hamidul Alam said that the raid was carried out over violence during yesterday's strike, including an attempt to kill an on-duty policeman by setting him on fire. Hamidul also said that the policeman is currently undergoing medical treatment and that his physical condition is much better now. He was saved because local people came to the rescue and saved him from the activists. Minister without portfolio Shoranjit Sengupta and State Minister for Law Kamrul Islam have both said that the law enforcers were forced to intercept Jamaat rallies because the participants violated the law. They made the comment at a program in the capital today. Shoranjit said that it is the duty of the government to bar Jamaat from acts of violence on the streets. On a separate note, the minister expressed concern over the abduction of a child in Kiraniganj. He stressed that the child should be rescued and that the perpetrators must be arrested immediately. At the same program, Kamrul Islam said that Jamaat and the BNP follow the same ideology. He alleged that the country will deteriorate more than it did before if the BNP-Jamaat alliance is elected to power again. He also urged pro-liberation forces to wage a movement against the Jamaat BNP alliance.
The government will foil any attempts at violence, but holding a procession like that of yesterday is a democratic right, and in such occasions the government will protect you.
You just can't do anything you wish. You will set fire to a policeman who is on duty, and you think the government will just sit idle on the sidelines? You held a peaceful rally yesterday, and the government did not do anything to disrupt that program because it was lawful.
Police claim to have identified the masterminds of the recent countrywide attacks on them by activists of Jamaat Islami and its student wing, chargesheeted. Police said that some top Jamaat leaders will be chargesheeted this week for instigating the violence.
Activists of Jamaat-e-Islami and its student wing Chhatra clashed with police and unleashed violence across the country in recent days. The headquarters of Jamaat and Shibir are locked and empty. Police say this is a part of their conspiracy. Police said they have got the names of some top Jamaat leaders who are behind the violence.
The
top Jamaat leaders are patronizing and guiding them.
Police said the detained activists have named Jamaat leaders Shafiqur Rahman, Mia Ghulam Parwar, Syed Abdullah Muhammad Taher and Hamidur Rahman Azad MP as the masterminds of the attacks.
Very quickly we identified the names of two top leaders. Some other top leaders have also been identified. They directly or indirectly planned the violence.
Police said the detained Jamaat activists were instigated by their leaders to try their utmost to foil the ongoing war crimes trial.
The government has finalized the policy for admission to private schools without keeping a quota for members of parliament. Education Minister Nurul Islam Nahid said this at a secretariat today. In the new policy, students of class 2 and 3 will have to sit for a 50-mark exam instead of the earlier 100-mark exam.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee proposed an admission quota in private schools to be reserved for students recommended by Parliament members. A meeting was held on this issue at the Education Ministry last Sunday. It was also disclosed that a 1 or 2% quota will be reserved for MPs. However, the Education Minister said today that there will be no quotas for MPs.
A proposal was made to reserve quotas which will be filled through recommendations by MPs. The proposal was discussed within this group and different opinions were expressed. After considering all the aspects, today we finalized the policy and we decided that it will not be appropriate to reserve a quota for MPs.
The new policy will scrap the quota for the children of expatriates and of the members of educational boards and the department. The quota for teachers and employees of schools will remain as before. The mark distribution for admission tests have also been revised.
A 100-mark exam appears to be a big load, so we have made it a 50-mark exam for class 2 and class 3. For schools in the capital under partial MPO, the price of the admission form will be 200 taka. For schools under full MPO, the form price has been set to 150 taka. For the rest of the country, the form price has been set at 100 taka.
The Education Minister said that admission fee and other fees will remain the same.
A World Bank report has suggested that Bangladesh will have to have 7.5% GDP growth and 8% remittance growth if it wants to become a middle-income country by 2021. The finance minister said that the government has succeeded in several economic sectors but has failed in attracting investment, increasing labor efficiency and in decentralizing the administration.
The World Bank report was presented at a program in the capital today. It stated that Bangladesh achieved 6% GDP growth despite the global economic recession. Only 25 developing countries succeeded in achieving that feat. However, the GDP growth will have to be increased by a further 1.5% if the government wants to achieve its target of becoming a middle-income country by 2021. Some reforms were also prescribed in the World Bank report.
And we need to have an environment which is much more conducive to investment, and that means proactively managing urbanization. I recall, sometimes when I think about this issue in Bangladesh, I think about James Carville, who was...
At the program, Finance Minister A.M. Mohit admitted that the country has limitations in its infrastructure. However, he added that the country is attracting investment despite this.
We have miserably failed in promoting investment, and that's the weakest point. But with that investment, the growth has been maintained or even improved. How? I think this question has been discussed. It's perhaps better utilization of the investable funds, and certainly better targeting, better strategy. The strategic choices have been very different from the past, and for that reason perhaps this limited...
Economists at the program criticized the World Bank report, which failed to acknowledge the issue of political stability, which is the foremost factor that contributes to economic development.
Opposition Chief Whip Zainul Abidin Farooq has said that the main opposition will not join the 15th session of Parliament. He made the comment at a program in the capital today. Farooq said that the BNP is wholeheartedly ready to join Parliament, but alleged that the government has not taken an initiative to bring the opposition back to Parliament. He added that the opposition is barred from talking when they are in Parliament and that not a single opposition motion was taken into cognizance. The opposition chief whip also urged the government to place the caretaker government restoration bill in Parliament to assess its popularity. The BNP senior leader also said that the government may try to cancel Jamaat's registration if it fears the political party.
We will stick to our decision of not joining the next parliament session because there is no congenial atmosphere there.
We continue with the news with Adnan Hussain. Adnan, all yours.
Thank you. Noted literature Humayun Ahmed would have turned 64 today. His relatives marked his birth anniversary by cutting a cake just after midnight last night. Humayun's mother, Aisha Foiz, his widow, Meher Afroz Shaun, and sons Nishad and Ninit cut the birthday cake. Onna Prakash owner, Mazharul Islam, editor of the daily Shomokal Ghulam Sarwar, and relatives of the noted literature were also present. Humayun Ahmed, the celebrated writer, playwright and movie maker, breathed his last on the 19th of July this year at a hospital in the United States. He was suffering from cancer. The literary genius was laid to rest at his beloved country estate, Nuhashpolli.
Everyone used to start singing hours before midnight for the last 4 or 5 years, as that Tutul used to sing at the birthday celebration. Humayun's children, his mother and people who were close to him are present here today. The people present here were really close to him, and hopefully their good wishes will reach Humayun Ahmed.
Belarus Prime Minister Mikhail Miasnikovich called on President Zilur Rahman at Bangabhavan today. During the meeting, the Belarus Premier briefed the President on the details of 12 deals signed between Bangladesh and his country yesterday. The President expressed interest in expanding the market for Bangladeshi products in Belarus. He also urged the Belarus Prime Minister to increase the import of ready-made garments, jute products, food, frozen food, ceramics and other products from Bangladesh. International news. Aung San Suu Kyi, the leader of the opposition in Myanmar, is making her first visit to India after almost 40 years. She'll meet Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, tour Parliament and deliver a public lecture. Suu Kyi is also to visit the college in Delhi, which she attended in the 1960s. when her mother was the Burmese ambassador to India. Earlier this year, Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh made a two-day visit to Burma aimed at strengthening political and economic links. India had initially supported Myanmar's pro-democracy movement, and many students from Myanmar found refuge there after the military crackdown on protests in 1988. However, correspondents say India adopted a pragmatic approach to dealing with the military junta in the 1990s, considering Myanmar's natural resources and business opportunities. Salahuddin Rabbani, chairman of the Afghan High Peace Council, is in Islamabad on a three-day visit. He met with Prime Minister Raza Parvez Ashraf before holding talks with Foreign Minister Hina Rabbani Kar at the Foreign Office. Prime Minister Ashraf assured Rabbani that Pakistan would do all what it takes for a peaceful Afghanistan. Pakistan, whose own security depends a lot on the success of reconciliation process, has been supportive of an intra-Afghan dialogue happening inside Afghanistan and without any preconditions from any of the sides. Islamabad and Kabul may apparently have a consensus on the peace in Afghanistan, but a number of issues, including a huge mistrust between the two sides, have traditionally prevented them from jointly working towards it. Now, sports news. The first test match between West Indies and Bangladesh began today at the Mirpur Sher-e-Bangla National Cricket Stadium. The Caribbeans batted the first innings. The score at the end of the day is 361 for 4. Two left-handers, the youngest and the oldest member of their side, combined to put West Indies in a dominant position on day one. The Tigers are playing their first test this year. Mushfiqur Rahim's men were competitive before lunch but faded against Kiran Powell and Shiv Narayan Chandrapal, who struck centuries on a good batting pitch. The highlight on a tough day for the hosts was the performance of debutant off-spinner Shohag Ghazi, who overcame the worst possible start into the Test cricket to finish with 3 wickets. That's all from me. Back to you, Sakawat.
Thank you very much. And that's all we have time for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at our usual time of 8 p.m. Thank you for being with us and stay tuned for tomorrow. Good evening.
Good night.